I'm forewarning you, you need to fucking sit down for this one. I'm serious, and you need to grab a Trump supporter. And listen to this. Trump is seeking to pay for his new $1.5 trillion military budget by cutting the following: $510 million grants for farmers, $82 million loans for rural small businesses, fully eliminates that program. $61 million support for farmers, fully eliminated. $240 million school meal and food education. $659 million community building grants. $49 million support for minority-owned businesses, fully eliminated. $449 million economic development grants for communities. $1.6 billion weather forecasting, fisheries, and coastal protection. NOAA, the program they already cut, which has led to a shit ton of people dying over these weather events. $993 million scientific research and technology standards. $150 million support for American exports and trade. $2.2 billion broadband internet access in rural areas where farmers are and underprivileged people are, and they don't have access to the internet. $8.5 billion funding for public schools at a time when all our tax dollars are going to these goddamn voucher programs to rich kids. $1.5 billion vocational training programs, fully eliminated. Training that's needed because everybody's losing their jobs over AI. $2.7 billion college access and higher education support. $15.2 billion roads, bridges, and infrastructure projects. Contractors who own businesses, if you voted for Trump, this means you getting less money awarded for bids. You're not going to get them. $1.1 billion home energy efficiency and clean energy programs fully eliminated at a time when fuel prices are skyrocketing. $1.1 billion scientific research funding. We're going backwards. $386 million environmental cleanup programs. Look at the environmental disasters we're doing overseas, bombing all these oil refineries. $150 million cutting edge clean energy research. $4 billion help paying home heating and cooling bills for low income families. Fully eliminated. $5 billion public health programs, mental health services, and disease prevention. Look at how many people died already with the recent listeria outbreak. $775 million local anti-poverty programs, fully eliminated. $5 billion medical research. Think of all the people with cancer waiting for the next treatment that can save their lives. $129 million healthcare quality and safety research. $756 million emergency preparedness and disaster response. $1.3 billion FEMA community disaster preparedness grants. $707 million cybersecurity protection for critical infrastructure that's going to be targeted by foreign adversaries because we're waging this war. $52 million airport and transportation security. $40 million protection against chemical and biological warfare threats, again at a time we're waging war. $53 million funding for homeland security operations. $3.3 billion community development block grants for local neighborhoods, fully eliminated. $1.3 billion affordable housing construction grants, fully eliminated. I thought this fucking administration was about affordable housing. And if you're a contractor that already was awarded grants to build affordable housing, you're screwed. How many of you supported Trump? $1.3 billion programs to reduce homelessness. $529 million housing assistance for people living with AIDS. When you're advanced with AIDS, you can't work. $489 million housing and services for Native American communities we already decimated. $50 million grants to help communities build more housing, fully eliminated. $60 million enforcement of fair housing and anti-discrimination laws. How fucking convenient. $53 million home buyer and rental counseling services. $45 million renewable energy development programs. Here's one. $1.7 billion grants for local law enforcement and public safety. Hey, MAGA mayors, MAGA police officers, MAGA city council members, your Support Blue programs are being cut. How do you like that? How many of you supported Donald Trump? 1.6 billion job training for at-risk youth. 234 million worker safety and labor protection programs. Look how many people died on the job in 2026 alone. 101 million enforcement of equal pay and workplace anti-discrimination laws. 46 million programs to combat child labor and forced labor. 2 billion international humanitarian aid, including the humanitarian crisis we're causing right now with this war. 1.2 billion food aid for hungry families abroad, fully eliminated. 4.3 billion global health and disease prevention programs, diseases that start overseas get carried over here. 642 million international economic and treasury programs, 350 million democracy and anti-corruption programs, 486 million grants for public transit projects at a time that oil prices are sky high, $4.2 billion electric vehicle charging infrastructure, 372 million airline services for rural and small communities, 145 million grants for sustainable and equitable infrastructure, 204 million loans and investment for underserved communities, 1.4 billion IRS taxpayer services and enforcement, 100 million air pollution monitoring reduction programs fully eliminated, 1 billion EPA grants to states for environmental protection, 2.5 billion clean drinking water and wastewater infrastructure funds, 90 million grants to reduce diesel pollution, billions and billions and billions for NASA programs. This is going to make Elon so happy because he gets more money for SpaceX programs. 170 million small business administration operations, 150 million loans for small businesses at a time when so many people are losing their careers to AI and need to start small businesses because there's no other jobs out there. We're waging this war for a country that provides free healthcare. And this supports Project 2025 that wants to eliminate all federal programs so states get all the power to run their country like mini Christian white nationalist governments.